We'll pick up again on the morning of the 24th, and I want to start today getting my bearings a little bit on the status of the ground war. We're about to get into some close support of the armies, and I just want to be able to see that tomorrow in context. So I have the map up showing the Allied lines in blue as of the 1st of July. That's 1 week from today. So at this point, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're still fighting all along the line, but really Cherbourg, some battles around St. Lo, and then around Caen are the main focuses here. If I focus briefly on Cherbourg, starting on the 21st, the American forces started to push further and further in. And this day, we're up to the black line right here encircling Cherbourg. Tomorrow, we're down to the brown line, and then Cherbourg falls shortly thereafter. Around St. Lo, and I really haven't focused on the American sectors at all. The Americans are still pushing towards St. Lo, and you can see, especially if I bring the main map back up, that St. Lo is a major transportation hub. Taking this location is essential to being able to keep troops supplied as the push is made further and further inland, and we're going to see St. Lo take on a more vital importance as July wears on. But we're about to get into Operation Epsom, and I have this map, and on the evening of the 24th, the day we're looking at right now, the line is up here on this dashed line, and by the 29th it's going to push down to the bold line, meeting opposition from a number of German divisions, and we will look at this in some more detail tomorrow. So I'll go through the squadron summaries for the day, and this is about as routine as it comes, so I'm going to probably keep it a little bit shorter than usual, although I think I start every day thinking to myself I'm going to do that, but we'll start with 441. 12 of our aircraft made a reconnaissance flight over the Lisseau, Bernay, Argenton area. One large truck was destroyed, but otherwise the flight was uneventful. Flight Officer Kronk ferried some secret documents to Northolt and returned in the evening. Flight Lieutenant Johnstone went to England to ferry an Auster. A number of pilots off duty and went as far as the suburbs of Cherbourg and brought back some souvenirs. But moving on to 442 Squadron, called at 0330 hours for dawn readiness and airborne at 0630, did some strafing, shot up a German staff car, calm sunny day, on 30-minute readiness until 1300, and then on 15-minute readiness, 1340, back on 30 minutes. Referring there to different states of readiness and different requirements for getting airborne in a certain time if called upon to do so. The best of luck was wished to Flight Lieutenant Kelty, who flew back to England today to join another airfield. His place as a flight commander is being filled by Flight Lieutenant Dover. Flight Officer Middleton flew to England from B2 to pick up an Auster. 2 on Dakota at 1430 from B2, made a sweep at 2205 but didn't see anything, a Hun near the airfield after landing, and total flying hours 33. And I just took a moment to add ALGB2 to the map. That's just to the southwest of ALGB3 that we're currently flying from, and that joins B4 and B10 as the airfields we've encountered. As we have looked at this wing, there are many others, but I'll return to the account and move on to 443 in their summary, and they describe it as weather clear and warm, scattered cumulus cloud at 2,000 feet, becoming about 6/10 as the morning progressed. Another new pilot reported to the squadron this morning, being Flight Lieutenant Fuller. He came from 83rd GSU by boat and then MT, and 83 GSU we've encountered a couple of times before, ground support unit, and so far we've seen it as an organization that manages the replacement pool of aircraft and apparently the replacement pool of pilots. I'll have to do some more digging on the role of GSUs here as I go. But moving on, total pilots now in the squadron is 26. Posting instructions received today for Flight Officer Morrell and Flight Officer Bentley, both of whom had been sent to 441 but were returned after 2 days. Large supply of blue air letter forms received for squadron personnel. It does not appear that we shall suffer any inconvenience from not having any, as so often happens in some cases. 1 transport sweep flown by the squadron during the evening, but nothing unusual reported, and 14 and some odd hours of operational flying time. So let's have a look at the missions as they're laid out here for us. 0630 to 0800. 442 Squadron on a scramble, and this turned into a bit of an armed reconnaissance along this road. So MET on road from Argenton to Caen, only scattered vehicles. 1 tank transport and staff car shot up at uniform 192275. Aircraft vectored, but no enemy aircraft sighted. Nil flak, weather clear, visibility good. So just a transport and a staff car on this back road right here. And I have no imagery for anything at the locations called out today, but that's just as well. Now we get into a 441 Squadron armed reconnaissance mission, 0925 to 1035, and this simply states the squadron made an armed recce of Lusso, Bernay, Legelet, and Argenton area. One large truck was destroyed somewhere along the route, although it doesn't really give me anything to go on. I'm just going to add one to the route there for the sake of consistency and move on to a 442 Squadron escort mission. This is 1440 to 1610, and this is an escort of Dakotas returning to the UK. Uneventful, weather clear, visibility good. And then we move into another armed reconnaissance mission, this by 443 Squadron, up at 1810, down at 1920. And we have weather clear and warm, visibility good. 12 aircraft out on an armed recce between Caen and Argenton. Very little activity was seen on the roads, and only 2 vehicles were shot up. No interference from enemy aircraft or flak. And then our last mission of the day is practically a duplicate of that. 2205 to 2315. This was 442 Squadron, and it's listed as uneventful, nil enemy aircraft opposition, nil flak, clear with slight base. And with that, I think I'm going to wrap it up for the day and move on to the 25th. I have a lot of stuff to plot out over the next few days in support of that Operation Epsom battle that we have coming up down here just to the south and to the west of Caen. So that's where I'll pick up tomorrow morning. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.